Hey everyone, welcome to this little impromptu live. I decided to jump on because I've been on a couple of podcasts recently and actually had a speaking gig on this topic today, and it's come up quite a bit. And so, in this video, I really wanted to share with you around how you can really start to create your personal brand on LinkedIn. So, for those of you that are joining me, I'd love to hear where you're from. So, just type in the comments in the chat where you're tuning in from. And if you are catching this not live, but maybe on the replay and you're watching this back a little bit later, then just put in hashtag replay as well. And I'd love to hear where you're coming in from too. So, this topic is kind of, I guess, something that I think is really important because it's really, really easy to hide. It's really easy to put, the doona over our heads and think that, people are just going to land on our lap or opportunities are just going to come our way with little to no effort. And so, one of the things that I think is really important, having gone through this journey myself of being a total, what call a LinkedIn lurker, into actually starting to build brand and starting to create a network on the platform to now almost near 30,000 connections. There's a few things that I've learned along the way. And so I wanted to share those with you to really shortcut your learnings as well. So if you are in a position where you're looking to start to build your personal brand on LinkedIn, it can be for business purposes, it can be for your career purposes as well. There are four things that are really good to consider. So the first thing is starting before you're ready. All right, starting before you're ready. There's never really a perfect time. I'm sure that goes for many things in life and in business and in our worlds. If we wait until we feel motivated, or if we wait until all the stars aligned and everything came together, often we're going to be waiting forever. And so there's a real opportunity on the LinkedIn platform right now because we have over 930 million users on the LinkedIn platform. Now, only 4% of those users are actually sharing content consistently each week. So there's a real opportunity to actually put yourself in that top 4% of people who are sharing content on LinkedIn. And it often takes us to start before we're ready. So, one of the clients that I'm working with, he's actually really great at scaling businesses. And so, he has been running his business through word of mouth and referrals up until this point. And he knew that a lot of his clients are on LinkedIn, and it's a really great avenue to start to put himself out there to really grow his brand as a business owner as well. And it was really interesting because, he's quite a confident guy. He's done so much in the business world that, is quite successful to anyone's degree of success. And when it came to doing his first post on LinkedIn, I remember him telling me that there was like this invisible barrier that he felt like a lot of resistance coming up towards it. He was worried about what other people might think. He was worried about not sounding professional enough or smart enough. And all of these sorts of things were coming up. And it was really no different for me in the beginning as well. And so the first tip is really, if you're thinking about starting your personal brand on LinkedIn, then there's never a perfect time. You actually have to really just dive in and start before you're ready, because the best way to learn is actually when you're in the trenches and you're doing it and you're getting that feedback from your network. And one thing that I learned really early on as well is that all of the fears, all of the doubts, all of the things that I had running through my mind at the time didn't actually come to fruition once I actually posted. Okay. In fact, I had a lot of people that supported me, especially in the early days of posting. I remember doing my first ever LinkedIn video. It took me 6 hours because the video itself only took me 2 minutes to do. But I sat on it for like 5 hours and 58 minutes before I built up the courage to actually post it. Okay. So if you're feeling that way, it's totally normal. It's okay. The key is you really want to start before you're ready. So that way you've got a really good chance of being in that top 4% on LinkedIn and being able to reach the opportunities that others in your market, others in your industry might not be able to reach, simply for the fact that you're willing to take a risk and to put yourself out there. So start before you're ready. Number two, tip number two is get your house in order first. Okay. When we think about starting to grow our brand and when we think about starting to build our business or opportunities on LinkedIn, You kind of want to think about it as the same way as we're really sort of building a house. So you want to make sure that you've got the cement foundation in place before you start to build the walls, before you start to build the roof on top, okay? Otherwise, things can just start to crumble. So right now on the platform, you've got about 6 seconds to attract someone's attention and keep them there on your profile. So, one of the first things that you do when you start to become a little bit more active on LinkedIn, one of the first things other people will do is going out to check in your profile. All right, they will be going to check you out. They'll be going to stalk you. Okay, like it or not, that's what happens, right? I'm sure we can all admit to stalking some people on LinkedIn here and there. And so that's what's going to happen to you. And so you want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile, which is the cement foundation of all of this, is in order so that when people land on it, they can make that judgment call within the first 6 seconds to build trust with you, to have your credibility shown, and to make sure that they know exactly what that next step is with you as well. So that's a really important factor to make sure that all of your activity, everything that you're doing on LinkedIn, you want to make sure that you're always getting a return on your energy. And one of the fastest and easiest ways to do that is making sure that your LinkedIn profile is set up in the right way, is working with the LinkedIn algorithm to do a lot of that heavy lifting so that when you've got people that are coming across you, they can reach out. They have really great context in terms of what you're doing. And that will be a really, really good first step. So, number two is make sure as you're growing your personal brand, you want to make sure that your house is in order. When we talk about your house on LinkedIn, we're talking about your profile. Okay. So, that is tip number two. So, tip number three is as we start to build, often we find that some days, like I said at the beginning, some days you might feel motivated to do it, some days you might not. And so we don't want to rely on you feeling motivated in order to want to do this. And so one of the things that you can do that's going to really support you and actually really build the habit of building your brand on LinkedIn is playing to your strengths. Okay, so tip number three is playing to your strengths. When we do that, we actually start to lower a lot of the resistance that we might have. So, if you're someone that loves writing, then you can actually do a lot of posts where you're writing on LinkedIn, you're doing articles, short form posts, whatever that is for you. But if you're naturally inclined to write and it's something that you enjoy, then absolutely double down on that and play to your strengths. For a lot of the clients that I work, they're facilitators and trainers and coaches and consultants, and a lot of them are really used to running trainings in front of groups and people. And so jumping on video and teaching something or sharing something comes quite natural to some of them as well. And so that's great too. If it's easier for you to talk than it is for you to type, then you want to leverage that too. You want to play to your strengths because that way you're actually within creating your personal brand on LinkedIn, you actually start to create your own voice and you actually start to carve out your own unique signature, if you like, on the platform in terms of the style of content that you do. And it's not about having to pretend that you're someone else. And it's not about having to copy what is working for someone else as well, or what you see is going viral and try to emulate that for your brand, because it might not be playing to your strengths. And so the easiest thing is to work with what you've got and really leverage your strengths, your expertise, your knowledge, and your skills to do that in order to grow. So that is number three, is really playing to your strengths, is something that will really start to accelerate your progress because naturally you'll be a little bit more consistent about it as well. All right, tip number four. Tip number four, and I can see you all rolling in, which is awesome. So hello from Texas and Papua New Guinea. Great to have you guys here on with me live as well. So as you're starting to grow, you want to actually be able to show a little bit of the person behind the profile as well. So when we think about our personal brand, Jeff Bezos put this really well. This is kind of the definition of he says as a personal brand is what people will say about you when you're not in the room. And so for many of us, we can go to work or we can turn up in our business or we can have this really professional image on our website or however we want to represent ourselves online. And sometimes that's a direct reflection of exactly how we are in real life and in person. And sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect. And so for many of us, if we really distill it down, all we're trying to do with LinkedIn and all we're trying to do with when building a personal brand is really take how you show up offline and really represent yourself in the same way, but doing it online. Okay. So if you're someone that has a great sense of humor and likes to have fun and cracks a few dad jokes, then you should be able to integrate that in your content and your personal brand on LinkedIn as well. Um, Gone are the days where you had to show up here on LinkedIn very formal in a suit and tie. Okay. It is okay now to showcase a little bit of your personality on this platform. In fact, I encourage it because it's easier to be yourself and it's easier to play to your strengths than it is to always try and put on a mask and try and pretend to be someone that you're not. So people are really savvy. People can see through it. And so, the best way that you can really start to find your tribe, the people that are meant to work with you, the people that are attracted to your message, the people that really resonate, the best way to do that and your best point of differentiation is actually showing up and showing a little bit of your personality behind your profile. And that really allows your whole LinkedIn to come to life and you really start to attract the right kinds of people into your network as well. So there's some quick 4 tips for you if you are a little bit afraid, like I was in the very, very beginning to get started. If you've been a little bit of a what I call a LinkedIn lurker, you've been a little bit behind the scenes, and you're thinking about stepping out into this arena, and you're thinking about starting to share and being a little bit more active, then you first want to start before you're ready. You want to make sure that your house is in order first so that people are coming across you and you're making the right first impression. You want to make sure that you're playing to your strengths. So it's something that you actually enjoy doing and you can do for a long time. And it's also that you want to make sure that you're showing a little bit of your personality. You're being unafraid to just show how you are offline, but bring that into the online world as well. So it's totally congruent between people meeting you out at a networking event versus communicating with you and interacting with you on LinkedIn. So I hope that's been helpful. I'm going to do a few more of these quick tip videos up on LinkedIn and doing some more lives. So if there is a topic that you're really interested in learning about and you want to talk anything business strategies, LinkedIn, growing a service-based business, then make sure to let me know and I will definitely cover that topic for you. And if there's something else that you would add to this list as well, like if you've been growing a personal brand or you've been thinking about it and there's something that you wanted to add to this list, then I'd love to hear from you in the comments below as well. So thanks for everyone that was here with me live. If you're catching the replay, put in hashtag replay below, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.